Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. I am thrilled to say that today we get to talk about Star Ocean: The Divine Force. This is a game that I have been looking forward to a great deal. I am a big fan of Star Ocean. I have been ever since I played the third one on the PlayStation 2. That was my first Star Ocean. And then I have rapidly consumed every other game in the series that has come my way. Unfortunately, I think that this game is not going to turn heads the way it probably deserves to. And the reason for that is quite simple. This year has been just so jam-packed with JRPGs. I would imagine that even hardcore fans of the genre are now starting to think that it was a bit much. In fact, if I was to ask you what were some of the JRPGs released at the start of the year, you probably would have forgotten some of them. It's just been so many. It's felt like there's been one every week. And it's just tiring. Square Enix themselves, the publisher of this game, has been part of the problem. In the past month, they've released a game every week. And it's just crazy to think that people have time to play all these big JRPGs one after the other. I would have thought spacing them out a little bit would have given each a chance to shine on its own merits. And unfortunately, Star Ocean coming at the end of that wave is probably going to be the one that is overlooked. That is a pity because this game is so important to the future of Star Ocean in so many ways. This is actually the 25th anniversary of the Star Ocean series, which started back on the PlayStation 1. And this is the first new Star Ocean we've had in 6 years, with the last one being Star Ocean 5, released back in 2016. That game was not very well received at all, so there was a lot of pressure on this one to perform if there was going to be any future for Star Ocean. The good news is it's an excellent game. A really, really nice game. I have just absolutely thoroughly loved playing this. In fact, this is one of those rare games where I got so absorbed into it, I checked the time at one point and it was 3 a.m. and I was tired, but I still wanted to play. Games very rarely do that to me now. I'm an older millennial. I want my sleep time. But I just found myself absolutely thoroughly absorbed into this game. So I do hope it does well. I hope it gets the recognition it deserves. It probably won't, because on top of being a release at the end of a lot of JRPG releases when people are just tired of the genre, I also think that it is very, very niche. And the people that this will appeal to will be a very small group of people relative to the overall JRPG genre. So I'm not expecting that the reviews for this are going to be too particularly glowing. If you do want a glowing review, you can check out mine on digitallydownloaded.net, and it will be very, very positive indeed. But I think for the most part, this game is going to be one that kind of lands. It'll find a small audience, mostly existing Star Ocean fans, I think, because this game does bring the genre back to form for that audience. But I don't see this converting people to Star Ocean if you're not already a fan. What I wanted to do with this video is firstly show you some footage from the game. I promise there are no spoilers in there. If you are 3 minutes in and haven't decided to click out in case of spoilers, there aren't any. This is only taken from the first 5 or so hours of footage, gameplay, and I don't think it goes actually much further than the demo. Not that I played the demo, but I'm pretty sure that it doesn't take you too far beyond that, so you're not going to see too much here that will spoil the experience for you. But I did want to show you some footage so you get a sense of what it's like. But the other reason I wanted to do this video is talk about the qualities of Star Ocean that I do think separate it from some of the other JRPGs out there, because Star Ocean is its own thing. It definitely doesn't have an exact parallel within the JRPG genre. Even within the Square Enix properties, this one stands apart. It isn't Final Fantasy, it isn't Dragon Quest, it isn't Saga, it isn't the Ogre series. Star Ocean really does have its own identity, and I do feel like even though it is kind of the B tier of JRPG within Square Enix's library, it has a audience, it has a fan base, it has a tone that makes it worth being there, distinct to those other properties. And the main one is really the aesthetics and the way that it does its fantasy, because Star Ocean feels like a very classical JRPG to play. It could be a Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy in this way that you move from town to town, and it could be kind of one of those ones set in the traditional medieval era, in that a lot of the towns will be very fantasy in tone. They will have traditional buildings. There won't be too much technology floating around. and it will look and feel like a very traditional fantasy game. But then over the top of that, you have some very heavy science fiction elements. You also have the ability to leave the planet. You'll go and see different planets. You'll do spacefaring. You'll see spaceships and all of that kind of stuff. So this game has this mixture of low fantasy and high technology science fiction space opera, which the developers don't try to meld together. And I think that's the important point, because Square Enix's other properties, most notably Final Fantasy, do have science fiction elements within a kind of traditional fantasy structure and storytelling, but they try and meld it together. So you've got the most extreme example, I guess, is Final Fantasy VIII's Squall. He has his gun blade, which is literally a gun in a blade, very science fiction element, but it is definitely trying to meld, traditional fantasy and science fiction together. This game wouldn't do that. It would have a character that has a sword and a character that has guns or laser beams or whatever, and they would be working together or potentially fighting each other depending on the characters and the situation, but they would exist within the same universe but independently of one another. And really it's the juxtaposition between the fantasy and science fiction elements where this game gets a really eclectic aesthetic tone to it, which is entirely its own. It doesn't matter which artist is working on it. The last two Star Ocean games have had a different artist to the previous ones. It doesn't matter which artist is working on it. The fact that it has these two things and that they are distinct and they are not trying to be melded together gives this game a cohesiveness in an odd way, a kind of eclectic cohesiveness, which is interesting and fascinating. And it doesn't matter how many times I play one of these games, I'm always interested to see what will come next because of the way that it continues to defy your expectations about what you're going to see moving forwards. And probably the most interesting thing about Star Ocean, the Divine Force, is those aesthetics. That is in no way to take away from the rest of the game, but what the Divine Force does so well is just keep you invested in moving forwards, so you'll see what's next. It really takes you on this great journey, and as you play, you will start to realize that everything about it is really designed in such a way to pull you through a journey. I did say that the world is huge, and the world is absolutely massive. The game is, in scope, it is just unbelievably big, but unlike, say, a Xenoblade Chronicles, where it's big and open, this one's actually big and fairly restricted in that you're always going to be pulled to the next location. This is a deliberate technique by the developers to keep you moving forwards. You're always moving forwards and at a fast rate in this game so that you're always seeing things. You're going from one wonder to the other, and it's this kind of virtual sightseeing tour with some combat and narrative in between. But it's just this tour of this amazing landscape or series of landscapes and worlds and whatever that they've built. And that is kind of the core appeal of the Divine Force. It has a lot of other great elements, of course. The characters are really good and fun, and they are a bit of a throwback themselves. So if you do like your more traditional style JRPG characters, this one is for you. They feel like they're pulled from a PS2 or PS1 era title in terms of the way that they're written and the way that they're designed. And the combat system takes some getting used to, I will admit. I'm probably going to see some criticisms about the combat system from other people, but it's just very fast, very, very fast. And because attacks can come at you from off screen and stuff, there is a process of getting used to how the combat system works. But as you do, it has an appeal. It is so fluid and energetic that, and the battles are over so quickly, I guess, is the other thing, that it doesn't feel like it's ever a drain on you. And it's never too difficult. I mean, if you put the difficulty level up, then you're going to get what you expect. But if you play it through on normal difficulty, then you're never going to feel too pressured as you're playing. It is mostly about just enjoying the journey, and the combat is there as a bit of energy to keep you going and to make sure that you're not spending too long just running through landscapes. Anyway, I think that this is a really wonderful game. Like I said, I don't know if it's going to be much of a success for Square Enix. I do see in a lot of the promotional material that they've said that this one's kind of designed for a Western audience. I don't know about that because particularly the character design, it's very much not designed for a Western audience. But I hope that it finds an audience, and I hope that there are some people that, like me, do play it and absolutely love it, and perhaps even get inspired to play some of these other Star Oceans if they haven't yet, because it is really a wonderful series, and it deserves more recognition than it gets. All right, do check out my review on digitallydownloaded.net for my full written and in-depth thoughts about the overall game. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy my work in general, please do hit that like and subscribe button so you won't miss a video. And if you want to support what we do at digitallydownloaded.net, then please do consider backing us on Patreon, which you can do for $1 a month or more. The more, the better. If you're feeling generous, then I certainly would appreciate that. But you can support us for just $1. And in return, you do get a 56-page magazine each month, which goes in depth into all kinds of things to do with Japanese art and culture, not just video games, but also film and literature and music and travel and tourism and all those other stuff. So if you've ever wondered where all the stuff you enjoy about Japanese games comes from, then that's the place to be. All right, thanks very much, and we will see you at the next video.